Hey guys, so in this video we're going to be going over DNA. DNA actually stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. So that's where the DNA comes from. Now we know that it's a nucleic acid, hence the name, so we know that it stores genetic information. And what that really means is that it holds instructions to make proteins. So DNA has all of the instructions to make all of the proteins that we need in our body. It's like a blueprint for the proteins of our body. So I want to start by going over the structure of DNA. So DNA, we know, is a double helix. It's like something like this, and you can just be drawing this on a loose leaf piece of paper. Okay, so DNA is a double helix. That means that we have two strands that are sort of like winding around each other. This outside part is made of sugar and phosphate. So this is a sugar phosphate backbone. So this is just like alternating sugar, phosphate, all the way down on both sides. And then in the middle, these sugars and phosphates are attached to these nucleotide bases or nitrogenous bases. I'm going to draw all of these bases in here. If you don't like my representation of DNA, feel free to draw your own. Okay, so inside we have these complementary nitrogenous bases. Now DNA has 4 bases. That is adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. I'm going to write those out. Adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. Okay. When we say complementary, we're just talking about how the bases always pair with each other. In DNA's case, it's always A pairs with T and G pairs with C. So for example, if I have an adenine over here, I am always going to have a thymine here. If I have a thymine here, I will always have an adenine here. If I have a cytosine here, I will always have a guanine. If I have a guanine here, then I will always have a cytosine. So that's super important when you're trying to replicate a DNA sequence. So let's say that you have a DNA sequence like this. Okay, DNA sequence that maybe reads A, T, G, C, G, T, A. Sure. Okay, so let's say that I want to find the complementary DNA sequence. Well, I know that complementary means A to T and G to C, so all I'm going to do is make those pairs happen. So I know that A goes with T, T goes with A. G goes with C, C goes with G. G goes with C, T goes with A, and A goes with T. That's how I have a complementary DNA sequence. My DNA sequence that I just made is complementary to the one that I started with. Now the reason that DNA contains instructions to make proteins is, remember that protein synthesis starts with DNA. If I were to change, so if I change the DNA sequence, then my protein is going to change. So if I change the DNA sequence, then my protein is also going to change because I'm changing the order in which my my nitrogenous bases are ordered. Okay? So if I change the DNA sequence, aka the nitrogenous base order or nucleotide order, then my protein is also going to change, and that's going to affect me. All right, one last thing. So again, with DNA, this is something that all cells have DNA. This is one of the characteristics of life, to say that all cells have DNA. It doesn't matter if you are eukaryotic, prokaryotic, you have DNA, because all organisms also need to have protein. All right, so this is your review of DNA. I hope that helped. And then get started on the practice. Remember, you need to check in with me in order to get the practice. So show me your notes, I'll sign it, and then you can get your practice. And that's it.